Hi there, welcome to I Alone Fly Tarot. I'm going to do a tarot card reading for Capricorn energy. And we're going to shuffle out these cards, see what could be going on in Capricorn energy, which could affect us all. Maybe people who are Capricorn sun sign or have significant or a lot of Capricorn placements in their astrological chart might be particularly dealing with this, but Capricorn energy is about what we kind of put work and effort into, what we think that we view as being victorious. So we all might kind of struggle with this in our own way. We're also going to shuffle out the Intuit deck to see what it wants to add. And at the end, we're going to ask what could be a potential outcome that people might not see coming, depending on if they harness a more high vibrational Capricorn energy or a more shadowy Capricorn energy. Shadowy Capricorn is represented by the devil, which is basically our shadow nature. Our more immature, fearful, codependent, lustful, greedy, lazy, want reward without effort, petty, envious, jealous, all those negative things that we can choose to be a foundation we operate from, right? And high vibe Capricorn I view as learning lessons in life where you free yourself from those more immature ways of being to keep growing and maturing yourself. Doesn't mean you're as grown and matured and wise and stable and grounded as other people in the world, but at least you're not operating at a level that you could have operated at previously, And some people have learned more lessons than other people in life. High vibe energy is to treat other people like you like to be treated, to be in relationships motivated and inspired by truth and love and justice and fairness and character and integrity. And, that isn't why how some people live their life. It isn't why they get in certain relationships, And we just need to see the truth of it, and also about learning to listen to our intuition. Because our intuition was given to us as a gift. Just like bats have sonar to navigate in the dark, we were given our intuition, but we got lessons to learn in that. And some people right now could not be listening to their intuition. We have a Intuit card not showing itself, and the reason it came out is because the body, I kind of view the body is like our worldly vessel. It is all those things that, can manipulate us. Some people, and it kind of makes me think about how people can present themselves in the world. It's kind of like, how do I look? Sometimes we get really concerned with, how do we look? How do people view me? Do people view me this way? Do they view me that way? And some people live their whole life being consumed with that, instead of just living their authentic life, being just and fair and loving. Oh no, I gotta look like this. I need those people to view me a certain way. Are those people viewing me a certain way? Other people have learned to maybe harness this in a more high vibe way. Other people don't know it. Some other people reject harnessing that energy in a more high vibe way and try to hide that they harness it in a more shadowy way. It's okay to say no. Yeah. So if we're kind of more in a people-pleasing energy, this has a storm there, and the clouds can talk about confusion and people trying to confuse you about the truth of who they are. They might try to present themselves a certain way so you view them a certain way. High vibe people have learned to listen to their intuition. If their intuition tells me, I don't know what it is, but my gut and my intuition is telling me to keep my distance from you, then I'm going to keep my distance from you. And some people haven't learned to say no. Some people are trying to maybe stop other people. The feminine figures can represent us being connected in with our emotions and our intuition, and they're trying to present themselves as being like other people. No, I view life the same way you do. But that's not the truth. And some people are listening to their intuition, some people aren't. I also view this card as the overarching reason for the reading, which is the Sun card, which is Leo energy. We're either more driven by our ego, which again can be our immature nature, prideful, lustful, greedy, self-centered, egotistical, full of ourselves, or we're being authentic. We are a true reflection of who we present ourselves as being in the world. And we're looking for people who are on the same page as us, who are being authentic, high vibe Leo. They're warm, they're authentic, they're loving, they're encouraging. They're not trying, in shadowy Leo energy, to manipulate people and create an illusion. Look, I'm a loving person, but that's not really the truth of who they are. Driven and motivated more by ego or fear or something. Yeah, and underneath the sun, we have the moon. High vibe people acknowledge they have a shadow nature. They didn't stay in denial of it. I have growing up and maturing to do. Throughout my life, I have seen the truth of when I acted in shadowy nature, and I suffered the consequences, and I didn't want to keep living my life that way. So I chose to illuminate the truth, deal with those shadowy ways of being within myself, to heal, to grow up, to mature myself. Some people are presenting themselves as high vibe, but it's really just an illusion. So, what's going on? We have the Judgment card. Right now, some people could be feeling like they're experiencing the consequences of their actions. The reason this card came out is because of... let me look at this deck really quick. I just don't know if a page... If that is a page of wands... Okay, it is a page. Okay. Not a knight. You know, in tarot, we have the pages, the knights, the kings, the queens, the emperor, the empress, the hierophant, the high priestess. The high priestess and hierophant is like listening to our higher self. You know, how do I want to live my life and be viewed and, you know, and feel about myself in 40 years from now? Am I striving to grow and mature myself to like my most highest potential of wisdom, self-awareness, maturity? And some people are pages. Even they can be 60 years old, but they can still be quite immature or codependent and still kind of more motivated and inspired. The Page of Wands is fire sign energy, where they're still really more motivated and inspired, you know, kind of caught up in all the illusions of the world. I'm sure those things will make me happy. I'm going to go pursue those things. I'm going to go indulge in those things and make my life about those things, because they still haven't been seen the truth and seen through the illusion. They're still caught up in their ego about the illusion. Being enlightened to the truth is that love is the answer. Love is what makes it all worthwhile. The things of the world are meant to be enjoyed. But if we haven't learned to temper our more immature nature, we could make those things of the world more important in our life than we should make them. Give them more power and control in our life than they deserve. Things are things. Indulging in things aren't the answer to your problems, you know, and the solution to your problems is to go live your life, but out of love for yourself. You listen to your intuition, and you don't look to the things in the world to be the answer to all your problems, knowing that loving yourself, believing in yourself, holding yourself accountable for your actions, being in relationships with other people who hold themselves accountable for their actions is what's important. It's one thing in the Page of Wands to have that hopeful, believing spirit. It's another thing to be kind of immature and naive and refusing to grow yourself up, you know? So some people are calling judgment on their more immature nature. Other people in their life who they think are more immature. Other people are deciding, you know what? I learned all these lessons. I saw through these things. The shadow nature can be all these things that used to manipulate me. And now I see how those things manipulated me. And it could have kept me from living my more authentic life. And now, in that more hopeful, believing spirit of a high vibe Page of Wands, I'm inspired to put in that Capricorn work and effort to free myself from those things that manipulate me. I'm going to quit indulging poor behavior in myself. I'm going to quit indulging poor behavior in others. I am calling judgment. I want to be more authentically myself. I want to love and believe in myself. If I'm hopeful and believing and loving and authentic and I've put in work and effort to heal and grow and mature myself, I want to be in relationships with other people who are like that. And because some people called that judgment, there can be, you could be inspiring, because high vibe energy is about inspiring other people to work through their fears and insecurities and self-limiting beliefs and work through things that manipulate them. But, you know, we can communicate our truth. The sun is about illuminating the truth. We could have communicated to people, and then those people have to decide what their truth is. And in the meantime, we keep moving on with the people in our life who we think are on the same page as us. High vibe, low vibe, worldly focus. And then we move forward in life with people in our life. And let's go see what this card is. The Knight of Wands, okay? And the reason that came out is because of the Page of Swords. So the Knight of Wands can represent our more immature nature, that we wanted to go indulge in all these things. Some people, because they have seen the truth, I now have that more hopeful believing spirit, and I'm going to reject my more immature nature, because the Knight of Wands and Sagittarius energy can be like we're kind of just being an immature player, you know? Why? Because I saw the truth. Again, two pages. A Page of Wands and a Page of Swords. I've seen how I've been in relationships with people, and we all could have kind of been on the same page in some ways. But I was inspired to call judgment on myself and stand in my truth. And I don't want to take more immature action in my life anymore. There could have been ways of living life that at one time I thought that was living the dream life. I was happy. But then as time goes by, you kind of realize, you know, it's time to grow up. And then the moon can talk about being willing to step out of your comfort zone. The sun can represent our comfort zone. I know how to live my life like this. And so I'm kind of tempted to keep living my life like this. But it's stopping me from kind of moving forward into unknown territory where I don't, it's kind of outside my comfort zone because I haven't been there before. Well, if we're always afraid, and the moon can talk about our fears and things, if I keep letting my fears stop me, I keep deciding to kind of indulge my more immature nature instead of being more inspired to go on an adventure in life, to face my fears. Yes, when I move forward in life differently, like say I go get a new job, that's unknown territory. I could be tempted to keep staying in my old job. But if for some reason with the Judgment card, something makes me not want to stay there anymore, maybe that I could have been hopeful and believing and authentic, but maybe some of the people I was at a workplace with, in a relationship with, in a friendship with, maybe I feel they're kind of more secretive. Maybe like to keep their emotions more buried beneath the surface. And if it's a romantic relationship, I want to be in a relationship with someone who has that more hopeful believing spirit. And for some people, High Vibe Knight of Wands is kind of willing to go on that adventure. And there's some people that aren't. And they're like, no, I want to keep moving forward like this. I do have these fears and insecurities. Let's just create the illusion that we healed and grew and mature ourselves. And let's keep moving forward the way we've been moving forward. Kind of operating more from our ego or our defensive nature or our immature nature. And other people are like, I could want to, because I can like you, I can like hanging out with you, but my intuition, which is also what the moon can talk about, my intuition is kind of telling me that it's time to, you do things enough, and if you resist moving forward, the reason you're not kind of moving forward and is keeping you stuck and stagnant. And my intuition is telling me it's time to move forward. And so then we have the Five of Cups. And the reason that came out is because of the Star card. There was things that we went to go pursue, and at one time it was like living the dream, and we could have been happy living our life that way. But when we keep staying in a certain pattern, we've kind of learned everything we needed to learn there, and then it's not as fulfilling as it used to be, and we can kind of feel like we stay in our comfort zone more because we're afraid of moving forward in life differently. And so we keep repeating an old pattern. But then the Five of Cups kind of talks about how either we don't really love it anymore. The same way you were age 15, you're age 18, you're age 21, you're age 25. We went through those phases of life. We loved that phase of life when we were at that age and viewed life that way. It was appropriate for us to live our life that way. But then it is kind of like I've kind of learned everything I've needed to learn here. I might be afraid of moving forward in life differently, but it might be more because I'm not looking at life from a higher perspective, keeping life in perspective, pursuing my dreams, loving and believing in myself, afraid of change. And I don't like feeling like all those things manipulate me. And so some people call judgment on it. At one time, yeah, I was happy being a 21-year-old. I was happy living life like a 25-year-old. And I think we go through this throughout our life. I just use those age groups because I think we can really relate to it, of all the different changes we were going through in our life and all the fears and insecurities we had that we had to overcome, and learning to take on more responsibility and believing that we could. And then we did, and then we realized we could. And, then, the same thing happened at the next phase of life. We were scared to take on those responsibilities and believe we could, but then we did it. We kind of get this, it's kind of like muscle memory, and we kind of have a foundation to fall back on that, I was scared before and I went and did this, and magically, things kind of work out that, people don't necessarily expect you at certain stages of life or getting a new job, but they don't expect you to come in and day one, you're this amazing person or know all these things. It takes time, and we have to kind of have that more hopeful, believing nature to let go of our fears and insecurities that could stop us from moving forward. And the people that kind of overcome that and stay focused on having hope and faith and belief in themselves, those people keep moving forward. Then we have the Justice card, the Empress, and the Seven of Cups. And the reason that came out is because of the Sun card. When we align with our more hopeful, believing, loving nature, and we listen to our intuition, because again, I think our intuition was given to us. It has our best interest at heart. Just like bats have sonar and other animals in the world have their unique things that they can use. They don't because they don't really have free will. They just use the gifts that they've been given to navigate in their life, But we as human beings, we do have free will, and we can choose in our ego to say, no, I'm going to stay right here. My passion and things and my intuition could be kind of burning up my life or something, but I refuse to listen, or I don't love and believe in myself. I'm waiting maybe for someone else to come take me with them and hold my hand through it. But there's, we can all like encouraging and supportive friendships and relationships to help us move forward. And, if people were going to go to a new job, they'd be leaving behind people at the old job. If they move to a different town, they're leaving behind people in the old town. And sometimes we want to go get a new job to go get the justice we deserve. I do think I have the skills and have learned what I've needed to learn at this phase of life to go get the justice I deserve and go have a new beginning. And the Empress talks about giving birth to something new, and the Seven of Cups can talk about a new beginning. And kind of offering love to the past to come to a place of balance about it. And that when we've reconciled ourselves with the things that we've learned from a certain stage of life, I am ready to offer myself love to go have this new beginning and believe I can give birth to something new. And while some people are ready to do that, other people might not be ready to do that. And we're all ready to do that at different times in life, right? To go when we were young, to move out and move away from home, to learn how to drive, to go get our first job, to go get our second job, and there were other people who moved on ahead of us at times, and we weren't ready to go. And it was kind of like, no, don't go. I'll miss you. Don't go do that, But we could do it kind of then. Our shadowy nature could be more, I'm still really inspired to live my life like this, and I want you to keep living your life like this, because this is how I view life. This is how I want to live my life. I don't want you to go. And some people never want to step out of their comfort zone. They don't ever want to give birth to something new. And it doesn't mean people have to change jobs, change friendships, change romantic relationships, but are they willing to deal with the truth? Some people aren't willing. They never want to illuminate and deal with their fears, their insecurities, their more immature nature, maybe don't ever want to hold themselves accountable. They keep deciding in the judgment card, I'm not going to take more mature action in my life. I'm not going to detach from any of my more maybe immature ways of viewing life to even look at life from a higher perspective. The way I live my life and the way I view my life, I think that is living the dream. I want to keep living my life like that. And that's fine. Everybody can live their life the way they want. It's just that some people are a little more motivated and inspired. High vibe fire sign energy can be, we all grew up in the world. We all could have been more codependent. Again, the Five of Cups can be, I haven't healed from past pain and heartbreak, or I don't want to be more authentically myself. I kind of like to keep my emotional, more authentic, bold, brave, confident nature kind of buried beneath the surface. I might like to conform more to the world and make my life more about me or more about status and ego and image. And that can be all of us for the first 30, 40 years of our life. In tarot, they kind of, in astrology, refer to that as you're operating in your South Node. And then there can come a time where people in their more fiery energy and their Capricorn energy, I'm not as motivated and inspired as much by these things of the world that at one time I was. And when we're young, we have all these things we want to go indulge in the world. And we're sure that is living the dream. But then as we could get older, we could be more inspired to high vibe energies about being more independent, more authentically yourself. It's a process of becoming more authentically yourself in the world, and viewing Capricorn energy like the King of Pentacles. We can all want to present ourselves in the world like I'm the stable, grounded, emotionally mature, whatever type of person. People should want to go into business with me. People should want to hire me. People should want to date me. People should want to marry me. But some people could have things that high vibe people have. They could be attractive, they could be charming, they could have social clout, they could have money, they can be attractive. But some people, it's kind of more of a facade that they present, and internally they really are quite immature, kind of like they lack substance. But when you look at life as people have learned lessons in life, at any emotional maturity level that we are, some people could be the most mature person kind of in the emotional maturity level of a group that they're in, but in comparison to some other people who've more grown and healed and matured themselves, then they could seem not as authentic, not as mature, don't look at life from a more higher perspective, still more caught up in the world. Then, like high vibe Aquarius is willing to step outside societal norms to bring needed change. Could be people who are just have a different, more enlightened perspective of what it means to be just and fair. There's a higher truth and justice to aspire to, not just what the world says is just and fair. And there can be a lot of people living their life. It's like, well, this is just and fair. Look at all these things and the status and the image, but it can still be more about them. And it's not about maybe trying to offer love and encouragement and resources to other people to become all they can be. A little more shadowy Leo Capricorn energy can be kind of competitive in the world, and I want to look like the shining star. Why would I help those people or want to even encourage those people? And some people are quite shadowy, and if they're not the center of attention and it's not all about them and being very competitive, it's almost like they don't even want other people to be victorious and successful in the world. But that's not really looking at life from a higher perspective, right? If everybody were to love and believe in themselves and kind of do the best job they can do in the world at whatever stage of life they're at, and we love and appreciate that they are doing what drives and motivates them, their skill set, we got astronauts, we got astrophysicists, and then other people and the rest of us, we're all on the spectrum of other things, but are they doing a great job at the things that they do? Yes. And we all want them to not be operating from their shadow nature. And other people could be like, I could care less. I don't even want them to do well. All of those people take away attention from me, if any of you know some really shadowy people. And that can be the mirror card too, as people are more emotionally narcissistic and it's really all about them, So we all know sorts of different people in the world, if not in our life, on TV, But we can either be more inspired, kind of more closer to a worldly foundational way of life instead of a more emotionally intuitive, enlightened way of life. And sometimes there's people that are in our life that want us to keep, we have these different people in our life that we can hang out with. We can know some people, and if we were more involved in friendships or relationships with them, they might not want us to free ourselves from our own fears and insecurities or self-limiting beliefs, because then we maybe wouldn't be living life the way we would have when we were hanging out with them as much. Maybe if we were dating them or married to them, maybe we won't stay dating them or married to them. And then, if they don't want to be more authentically themselves, if they're more in their Capricorn, like King of Pentacles energy, male or female, I'm kind of more about wanting to indulge in these things. I think those things will make me happy, or making my life about myself, or making my life more about money or materialism. I think that's the way we should live life. I think that's just and fair. And that can be how some of those people are going to keep moving forward. If they had people in their life that is like, that's not the primary factor in my life, just to maybe be in a relationship because of ego and image, Again, some people are very worried about how other people view them. And so then, some people just get in a relationship because they think that says something about their status or their image or their value. It's like, if there's no one around for you to be in a relationship with that's really on the same page, well, that would be someone who's kind of hiding that they're just kind of maybe indulging in a relationship for status or ego or image or how they can benefit. And high vibe people, the Five of Cups is Scorpio energy. We're emotionally complex human beings. I don't want to get myself emotionally tangled up with someone that I shouldn't be tangled up with, maybe to begin with. And I'm not going to take more immature action because I do have hope and faith and belief in my dreams. And I'm going to work through my own fears and insecurities about relationships in my past and friendships and workplaces that might not have worked out the way I wanted. But I'm going to keep having hope and faith and belief that if I do the work within myself, the Justice card is Libra energy, represented by the scales of justice. If I keep maintaining balance within myself and I don't tip out of balance, indulging poor behavior in myself and others, and I treat people in a just and fair way, and the people I want to invest my time, energy, and effort into, I kind of require them to treat me in a just and fair way. And then the Empress energy is Libra Taurus energy. I am going from in high vibe, it's operating from a foundation of like truth and love and justice and fairness and acting with character and integrity and putting in work and effort to be just and fair and authentic and loving. I'm going to keep giving birth to new things in my life because I am curious and I don't let my fear and other things in the world and other people in my life manipulate and control me. And I want to deal with the truth. And I have learned these lessons about being in relationships with some people who could have harnessed these energies in a more shadowy way, who were more about the illusion. Shadowy Leo could have been more manipulative, more prideful, created an illusion that this is what drives and motivates them. But as we move forward in the relationship, I kind of realize that maybe they keep their more emotionally intuitive nature kind of locked away, because that picture kind of reminds me, I don't know what the name of it was. It Rapunzel, locked up in a tower. And, they kind of, it's more about this idea that I don't really have to be just and fair. I don't really have to treat other people the way I like to be treated. I really don't have to put in work and effort. I'm either immature and kind of full of myself secretly, or because I might have these certain traits, qualities, or characteristics or assets, just like some high vibe people do. But I think because I have those things, that's how I view life. And I don't think I have to be more just or fair or put in work and effort or really even be more authentically myself and loving in a relationship. I think I can misuse my emotions, my sexuality, my words, my image, my status, and all these things to manipulate people to get in a relationship with me, presenting myself as being a more emotionally stable, grounded, authentic, loving person than I really am. And if I can get someone to take this job and come work for me or go into business with me or date me or marry me, well, I'm hoping that if they decide to do that and we move forward with this idea, I'm hoping that even when they do find out, oh shit, we harness our Scorpio energy differently. I thought we were in this because of love. That was my dream. And now I've started to see that you kind of use your emotions more manipulatively, might be more about yourself or these things of the world, or more superficial and shallow, hoping that even when they do get illuminated to the truth of what was hidden, that because of their own fear of standing up for what they believe in. Taurus energy is about our philosophy of life. That, well, because this does look really good with the Justice and the Empress in a more shadowy energy, by worldly standards, it looks like I really have it going on in the world. And to some degree, in some of the relationships, it could look really good by a lot of standards. And then in our ego, we're kind of tempted to keep the Seven of Cups, can kind of keep maintaining the illusion of how wonderful it is. But it is kind of more of an illusion. And sometimes we find ourselves in these more mismatched relationships where one person is authentic and loving and hopeful and believing and more just and fair, and the other person just kind of creates an illusion of that. But then eventually the high vibe people feel like they're missing out on an opportunity in love because they're not in a relationship with someone who authentically is kind of immature, could be still operating more from their more immature, egoic nature, think life is about just indulging yourself in a relationship so long as it looks good for the ego and image. It's kind of like someone who has sex with people, but they don't really connect with them on a deep emotional level, like making love to someone. They have sex with people, and it's just like, I want to be in a relationship with someone who's more emotionally mature and balanced within themselves, and emotionally they are balanced within themselves, and their philosophy of life is that you should get in relationships being more authentic and loving, not more out of ego or codependency or because it's good for your ego or image. And then the Seven of Cups is also Scorpio energy. They can try to confuse people about the truth of what really drives and motivates them, or confuse people about the truth that they're kind of more immature, or confuse people about the truth that they're kind of deceptive and manipulative and not who they say they are. And if they get in these mismatched relationships, eventually the high vibe people, though, people can present a really good front. People can wear a good social mask. But you can't stop people from listening to their intuition. And sometimes that's what kind of some more immature, shadowy people are hoping to do. If I can get you in the relationship, even when you find out the truth, I'm hoping because of your own ego and your want for these things of the world, you'll stay in it anyway and just maintain the illusion. And there's some people that are in those type of relationships. For some people, they're both those kind of people in the relationship. Part of them could really want to leave and are unhappy, but they're too afraid to, and they'd have to do this work about their own fears and insecurities and get more balanced within themselves and love themselves. And they'd have to put in this work and effort to work through their own emotional confusion of this conflict within them. I kind of want all these things, but I also want this. And until they're willing to illuminate the truth, they're going to keep having, maybe staying in jobs, friendships, and relationships that they don't really want to be in or that are more mismatched. For the people that they're on the same page, I think this is just and fair to live our life this way, they're going to keep living their life that way. For the people that are high vibe and in relationships with people who are more motivated and inspired to grow and mature and heal themselves, because again, high vibe energy is being more independent of your more immature, worldly, shadowy nature, and being more caught up in making your life more about these more superficial things. And you're more motivated and inspired by more authentic, meaningful relationships and being in careers that you love and motivate and inspire you, and in friendships with people who motivate and inspire you, than living your life in a way where there be other people happy to be in a relationship with you. But then you wouldn't be living maybe more your truth, or you wouldn't be more balanced within yourself, or you wouldn't be giving birth to anything new. You'd keep repeating an old pattern. And some people, like I say, emotionally, they might like to do life differently. They can, high vibe energy can even be music, books, movies, seeing other people in the world. And it's like, why am I not living a more balanced life, a more stable life, a more believing in myself, believing in my dreams? And it can make those people then, just like us, look through, why am I not living my more authentic life? And if you knew some people in your life who, these are two masculine figures, and the masculine energies, not anything to do with men. Masculine energy can represent that we're just, because that kind of represents our vessel. It's our kind of more worldly nature. Instead of connecting in with our more authentic, creative, inspired, intuitive nature. And so there might have been some people, whether they're male or female, in their fire sign energy of Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, the Knight of Swords in their Libra, Aquarius, Gemini, or just people kind of more motivated and inspired more by the world. That is their truth. That is what they think is just and fair, or more about themselves. And they don't really let their more emotionally authentic nature out to play in the world. Some of those people could be sad to see some of you move forward in your life, because they would like to maybe be in a relationship with you. To them, that would be like justice. But you've already been illuminated to the truth about some things they were hiding, or they're not willing to illuminate the truth. They're not willing to be more authentic. They haven't dealt with these issues that they like to keep buried beneath the surface. And it's like those things manipulate how people conduct themselves in a relationship, and what drives them, motivates them, and the choices they make in their life. And you've probably already seen the truth of it. So it's like, I wish you peace, but I'm going to keep moving forward like this. If you do kind of get out more of being up in your head, or your fears, or your insecurities, or these illusions you have about life or relationships, and you do get illuminated to the truth, and you do get more balance within yourself, and work through those issues to love and work through the emotional confusion and the illusions of the world, well, come let me know. In the meantime, I am moving into unknown territory. And while you're moving into unknown territory, some of them might decide, well, no, this is my truth. This is how I want to live my life. This is how I'm going to keep living my life. And by worldly standards, they could look like they got it going on in the world. You just might know is kind of more of an illusion. Because you might already know that they that they're more immature than they present themselves as being. They're more emotionally shallow, or superficial, or secretive, or deceptive, or intimidating, or controlling, or egotistical, or self-centered. And, it's for the next person in their life to learn those lessons about them. And for those people to decide if they want to stay or not. But you decided you wanted to go. And then you could have communicated to other people in your life, this is how I'm moving forward. If you want to come with, come with. But this is how people have to conduct themselves. No more illusion. No more being more scales tipped more in your favor. It should be more about you, or being manipulative. People have to be authentic, emotionally mature, just and fair, wanting to be in authentic, deep, meaningful relationships. And if that's not you, then, enjoy your life. But this is what I will find emotionally fulfilling. And I'm going to keep listening to my intuition as I move forward in that energy. And you're going to listen to your intuition instead of your fear moving forward. The other people might still keep more trying to hide that they're not really who they say they are. What's coming up for some people who harness some high vibe Capricorn energy that they might not see coming? Okay. We have the Nine of Pentacles, the Devil, the Lovers, the Two of Swords, and the reason it came out is because of the Chariot in reverse. So, there's some people you're not going to be moving forward with, and there's other people who didn't communicate with you that they wanted to move forward with you. Some of those people are in their pride and ego. You might have communicated your truth to them, but maybe in the Knight of Wands, they wanted you to chase after them. Well, if I think that you're chasing after me, that you maybe don't love and believe in yourself, that you can't have your dreams come into reality unless I'm in a relationship, well, I might feel that puts me in the, like, privileged position in a relationship, like you'll indulge me, and you're not chasing after people. I spoke my truth, and now I'm moving on. And they're like, well, I thought you were going to chase me. What? You're having a new beginning? What? You're moving on? What? It's like, well, yeah, if you weren't willing to illuminate your truth and be more just and fair and get out of your ego, yeah, I moved on. I'm not going to be chasing people. And you also might know, so some people didn't move forward with you in an emotionally balanced, loving way. Some people didn't come towards you. Some people you might know are very emotionally out of balance, which is what the Seven of Cups can talk about. Some people aren't motivated by love. The Chariot is Cancer energy, about love. Some people were more of harnessing their Cancer energy in a shadowy way, and their Capricorn energy, where they were more about looking victorious and successful and like a loving, stable, grounded person, but that really wasn't the truth of who they were. And as you do this work within yourself, and when you detach from being more caught up in wanting to look victorious, maybe getting in a relationship just for those reasons, staying in a relationship for those reasons, you're willing to become independent of those people. You kind of learn these lessons and to appreciate your worth and value. And because you know your worth and value, and you've learned these lessons in life, you're not going to let your own shadow nature in the devil and other people who are in shadowy energy or immature or hurtful or unkind or prideful or egotistical or bossy or manipulative, not telling the truth, stop you from love. And you will overcome the devil to align with your more loving nature and listening to your intuition. And just seeing the truth, the Nine of Pentacles is Virgo energy, about when we do this inner work to be illuminated to the truth about things we didn't maybe want to acknowledge within ourselves, that we didn't want to acknowledge in others. The truth is, we have this shadowy nature and our more loving, hopeful, believing nature. And it is about listening to your intuition. Our shadow nature wants us to take certain action in the world. Our loving nature wants us to take more action in the world. And it's about seeing that truth, knowing your worth and value, that I have to listen to my intuition, because otherwise it could drive my life off into the ditch. And it maybe did before, and I don't want to do that anymore. And I also don't want to be... some of you could have been kind of letting your more loving nature even guide your life, because you could be a very loving, giving, hopeful, believing person. And because of that, it maybe wasn't as balanced between Capricorn and Cancer are on opposite sides, and we kind of go off into the ditch on either side until we learn that I have to acknowledge I have these two aspects within myself, and I've got to listen to my intuition, or my more worldly nature or my more loving nature can kind of dominate my life. And it's supposed to be maintaining balance. And you might know some other people who aren't able to do that. And I think as you're moving forward in that type of energy, People, the devil can just talk about, people will be attracted to you because you're not acting in these more immature or manipulative or prideful or whatever ways of being. And they view you as someone they could want to be friends with, or work with, or be in a relationship with. And they're intuitive that you're not more about putting on a show or more driven and motivated by ego and image, like shadowy Cancer energy, and you're not using your emotions in a manipulative manner. You're being authentic and warm and loving and just and fair, and putting in work and effort to maintain balance within yourself, to be authentic, and other people are going to want to work with you and be in a relationship with you. And there's going to be other people. There's always going to be shadowy people who kind of want to be the next person to indulge in a friendship or relationship with you. And I think you've learned to also listen to your intuition. Maybe before you were more aligned with your worldly nature and not as connected with your emotional nature. And now that you've learned some of these lessons, you're more independent of being caught up in those things of the world and illusions. Not everybody's motivated by love. Not everybody, people can look mature and stable and they're not. And I've learned to listen to my intuition about different people. What's coming up for some people who might harness some more worldly, shadowy Capricorn energy that they don't see coming? 2 cards not showing themselves because of the 7 of Swords. If we think these things outside of ourselves are the answer to making us happy, we're kind of deceiving ourselves. And some people are more caught up in the worldly dream. The 7 of Swords is also Aquarius energy. And I think some of them right now could be like realizing it. Like, no, 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 get me out of here. Take me with you. And it's like, I can only have you move forward with me if you've been illuminated to truth and doing this work with you. But some people don't want to do the work within themselves. Capricorn energy, earth sign energy, putting in time, energy, and effort to free themselves from the things that manipulate them. And some people are like, well, no, you're supposed to indulge me. You're supposed to want to be in a relationship with me. You're supposed to, I know you love me. You're supposed to let me come with you. It's like, a house divided can't stand. If we're not operating from the same foundation, and I'm operating from truth and love and justice and fairness and character and integrity, and you just want to create an illusion of being that, then we're not on the same page. And now some of those people, if not now, in the future, they're maybe going to realize how they deceived themselves. They weren't seeing things clearly. But some people, that is how they view life. Because I indulge my more immature nature, I think other people who love me should indulge me in my more immature nature. And some people said, no. Some of those people didn't want to see the truth of it. Some people told them no. Some people moved on, but they're still living in illusion. Oh no, I know they love me. I'm sure they're going to want to get back in a relationship with me. And they keep staying in denial of the truth. I have seen the truth of who you are. And until you grow up and mature yourself, I'm not going to be in a more involved relationship with you. Some of those people could start to be seeing the truth. Oh shit. They're really moving on. And some of those people are realizing if they don't start listening to their intuition, some people that they could have a dream relationship with are going to move on. Some of those people will do that work within themselves. And as you move on, some of those people might illuminate the truth to you. That yes, I did have things that manipulated me. I was more tempted to be more about myself, or thought I was just and fair to be bossy or controlling, or be more about myself, or caught up in these things of the world. And if some of those people do that in your life, then and your intuition tells you that they are telling the truth, and the devil, people have become independent of these shadowy ways of being that they used to love, but they kept them stuck, and they realized they needed to quit moving forward in that way. If they do that, then, we can get back in friendships and relationships with people. Some of them, we might still keep them at arm's distance, or if you had dated them or something, or married to them, you listen to your intuition. I can be cordial with you again. Do I want to date you again or be married to you? No. But I'm glad you freed yourself. I'm glad you worked through those things, because we could still be on different pages, right? It can take years and decades to learn certain lessons. Just because some people learned a lesson and were illuminated to something that they needed to become aware of, you might know they got a lot more things they need to work through that they don't still seem to realize. And until they realize that, if you were even to point it out, they probably get in their ego about it. It's like, so then it's like, I think we're at a good place right now. I'm glad that worked out for you, but you're not someone I still want to move forward with in a more involved relationship. I think we found a new good level for our relationship, the way it is right now. Nothing different. And for the people who are still being shadowy in the world, not being authentic, operating more from their ego, I think they're going to find out it's not going to be what they think it is. You can't plant bad seeds and expect to have what other people have in the world that are being authentic and loving and just and fair and acting with character and integrity. They can have the illusion, but they won't have a more high vibrational dream, because they're not in high vibrational energy. And some people are like, that's okay, just so long as it looks good. Okay, well then, that's okay. But some other people who are kind of in shadowy energy, they can always have some high vibrational people in their life that have been loving and encouraging to them, trying to inspire them and speaking the truth to them, whether they're friends or family members, to love and believe in themselves, and they want to move forward with them in a more maybe mature or just and fair relationship. And as some of these people keep kind of being emotionally defensive to dealing with the truth, illuminating the truth, being more authentic, they're going to have some high vibe people in their life that are going to listen to their intuition. And they're not willing to give up the dream. In the Seven of Swords, the Five of Swords is holding the Five Swords. I have a dream, and I'm going to listen to my intuition, and my intuition is telling me, even though I really could have wanted it, my dream isn't going to come into reality here. What you're driven and motivated by, and what you think is just and fair, and how you live your life, we're just not on the same page. And they're going to have some high vibe people leave their life, because some of these people want to keep trying to move forward with an illusion or a lie, or trying to confuse people about the truth of who they are. And they don't realize that other people see through the illusion. And underneath the moon is the Six of Cups, which talks about people repeating an old pattern. You create the illusion you've moved on. You create the illusion that you've looked at life from a higher perspective. You create the illusion you're this more just and fair and stable and grounded and emotionally mature person who walks the talk, but that's not the truth. And we've maybe seen it over and over and over. And I'm starting to see through the illusion. You're not who I thought you were. I think you put in a lot of work and effort to try to confuse me about the truth of who you are. And also realizing I can't change other people. If they were motivated and inspired to look at life from a higher perspective, have more hope and faith and belief and love, we're ready to be more authentic and be in a deep, meaningful relationship, they would be. But apparently they're not. And eventually some high vibe people realize that. And what they don't realize is the high vibe people in their life have probably been doing this work within themselves to detach from harnessing these energies in a more shadowy way to harnessing them in a more high vibrational way. The Ten of Swords to the Two of Wands. I maybe didn't believe in myself, because the Two of Wands is Aries energy, which is about the self. And I maybe also didn't believe in my dreams. And I did think in order for my dream to come into reality, I needed this person to be in my life. And that's a lie. Our dreams can only come into reality with people who are on the same page as us. And if they're not on the same page, then our dream can't come into reality with them anyway. And we need to let go of that dream. And that's what some people have been working through. Detaching from not wanting to see the truth that their dream can't come into reality with some of these people. And then as they work through that, and they listen to their intuition, and they do this work within themselves, a light bulb came on, being illuminated to the truth, seeing through the illusion, then those people become independent of them. Sure, we could have been attracted to people. We could have been tempted in the devil to stay in relationships with people for all these different reasons, of these worldly reasons, and our attraction for them and our love for them. But it could have been tipping us out of balance. And I want to feel balanced within myself, and I want to be in balanced relationships. And I could have been deceiving myself that it was a more just and fair and balanced and loving relationship. And now I've seen through the illusion, and now I'm ready to go get in relationships with people who I think more on the same page as me. And these people will have other people who want to be in a relationship with them, got lessons to learn from them just like other people. It's just that the people who they might end up staying in a relationship with might harness a more worldly, shadowy Aquarius energy like them. I'm kind of more about, I want to repeat this pattern. I also maybe haven't been illuminated to the truth. I also might have fears and insecurities of being in a more deep, meaningful relationship. You and me are on the same page. And we both might be people who like to live more from our mind than our heart, not take more bold, brave, creative action in our life, like to repeat this old pattern and maybe make our life more about these things of the world. Well, that would be a just and fair relationship. It's just that when some people have been in a relationship with more high vibrational people, they could think, oh no, I'd be happy getting in a relationship with someone who's more like myself. Well, if that person isn't a more authentic, just, fair, and loving person, some people could be hiding that I backstabbed a dream because I wasn't willing to illuminate the truth, deal with my fears, be more authentic, keep life in perspective. I could have gotten all caught up in my head. I could have done some immature actions in a relationship. And then some people aren't willing to admit they made a mistake. If they were willing to illuminate the truth, they maybe could get back in some of those jobs, friendships, and relationships that ended. But some people, what's more important to them is their image, maybe, and how people view them. So they're going to keep moving forward, creating an illusion about what a wonderful life they have. But they're being deceptive and manipulative, and some people it's all about ego and image and money and materialism in relationships with people, that it isn't because of love, it's more because of their fear, their insecurity, or their want for those things of the world. And I think eventually, people can tell, if people like, why are you people in a relationship? This doesn't seem very authentic and warm. By worldly standards, it could look really good. But I just think you're more immature. I think you're conforming to the world, making your life more about those things than being more independent and living your more authentic life like some other people. And that's fine, though. It's just that some people might not want to hang out with them because it does seem to be more all about these things, or trying to maintain this illusion of what a wonderful life they have, when maybe it's not very inspired at all. Maybe all more out of fear or codependency even. So there you go, Capricorn energy. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.